Welcome, everybody. All right. So again, feel free to unmute yourselves. All right. Hey, Terry. All right.
Hello.
Excellent. All right. So we can get started. So for those of you who don't know, I'm Jaye Calderin, and welcome to Boston Fashion Week's Fashion School Night. It's our virtual red carpet introduction to a menu of online fashion content created by fashion design students from the Massachusetts College of Art and Design. So tonight we have another great lineup. From the industry, we have Diana J. Colutino. She is the director of Fashion Makerspace at the Fabric Discovery Center at UMass Lowell. And we have two very talented stylists, Gina Fox and Terri Mahn. And representing MassArt, we have Jen Varekamp. She is a fashion design professor and the chair of the fashion department. And we also have fellow fashion design professor Renee Harding. And as a bonus, we have Evelyn Beato. She is a graduate from the Fashion Design Certificate Program at MassArt, and she is now a teaching assistant there for Global Heritage Fashion and Art. I want to say that Evelyn has played a big part in the development of Boston Fashion Week this year, including helping me host these live fashion night intros. But tonight, she's representing MassArt. So they are here to reflect on how important it is to come together as a community, to nurture new talent, and give you some insights into what you're about to watch. So I want to start off with Diana. Diana has lived the student to professional process. She's a role model for other MassArt students. And I wanted to ask her, as a professional, she has gone through this transition we're all going through, but within the fashion world. And I wanted to ask her, what kind of adjustments has she had to make that she can kind of share with the students? Because I think when it comes to the students, when they know that established professionals are going through it too, I think it reinforces their ability to take it on as well. So Diana, if you could share some of your insights.
I've been lucky in my space and where I am located with regards to my business. I have a fashion maker space, which is chock full of toys and equipment to make and develop prototypes and anything that you would like to do related to fashion. And I think what this has taught us is to stay flexible and be able to shift when you need. And I think that's been the most important lesson for me. And going back to where I started, I was able to do that, but it also feels like that's something that we should always be doing in fashion. Fashion moves all the time, and we should be ready to keep on learning and keep on shifting with changing times, and with also encouraging change in the industry and the way we make things. So stay flexible.
Yep. No, it's very true. It's funny because I've been learning a lot myself throughout this whole process. And one of the things I realized is that the fashion world, although it's about the latest trends, is really slow to embrace technology. It's a little scary. It's a whole other world. So, I've noticed that, again, although we would all assume that fashion would be on the cutting edge, most of the industry has had to almost been forced to do this, almost against their will. So, but I think after a while, like you said, you stay flexible, you can get excited about all this change and see it working somehow in the long term.
Sure, and when you mention technology, I want to mention that includes slow tech and fast tech. And,
Exactly.
and so I think that we're thinking about old methods that made better sense and will continue to make sense these days, and also how can the new technology help us? So,
yeah. And I wanted to just interject that COVID has been really good for fashion. It has pushed it to find new ways to do things and find new ways to present fashion shows. So it has been beneficial in that way.
Yeah.
True, that's true. And you, Diana, speaking about these, going back to older ways of doing things, I just saw this great article, I believe it's in Vogue, all about Indigenous wisdom and can that save the fashion industry? I was blown away. I just saw that recently.
Oh.
And it was going back to, just getting in touch with the reality of everything, and getting back to real basics about how we even think about moving forward. So
exactly. Please share that link with me. I'd love to read that and collect it.
oh, definitely. Yeah, I plan on posting it, but I'll send you the link too. Yeah, I encourage everybody to read it. It really inspired me because it was like a foundation in terms of you just entering the process, like and thinking in a different way, in a much more sort of real way. So yes, definitely. So so I know, Gina, you're back to work. I mean, you've been doing all these big shoots and all these different kinds of things. It's so important to move forward, when you can, and be creative during times like these. But what kind of takeaways are you are taking away in terms of balancing work and then sort of the mental and emotional health that we need to kind of take care of during times like this?
Well, work is definitely on fire right now. I feel like in my industry, people feel there's a window and they're jumping into that window and everybody is shooting while they can. Mm-hmm. As far as a balance, for me, I'm a spiritual person, so I'm the type that, I need to pray and meditate in the morning, and then I need to get outside, I need to walk, I need to be in nature. So you need to do things for your spirit and your soul, as well as, your art, which for some people that is for their spirit and soul. And so that's what I find helps me, whether, you yoga or whether you climb technique or you're a dancer or whatever. And there's so much being offered via Zoom nowadays that it's like we're not skipping a beat. As a matter of fact, more things are available now because of the online. Right. And then talking about innovation in shows. I mean, if you watch any of the shows, what's happening in Paris and Italy and New York, people are really getting pushed outside the box, and it's adding some freshness to it. It's adding a little edge to it. So
yeah, definitely. I mean, and I think it's nice to kind of add that to the conversation, because again, especially with younger people, these students that are hungry, to get to work and to get, to be creative and produce, that these hard times are taxing in different ways. They're not just stopping us from working, but stopping us from kind of getting our head together and our emotions together and all those kinds of things. And I mean, I've noticed that in my own students, like that's been almost a bigger struggle to even get motivated to finish, something, or to move forward. So I think that's really valuable advice in terms of, again, what works for you to get you in a place where you can.
And also, the industry is thinking outside the box. So in a way, there's a little bit more window for the unknown to come in and do something new and fresh, because people are looking for something new and fresh. So there can be opportunity in that.
Right.
Jaye, if we could touch on that mental health issue for a second, it'd be great if everyone could just say one thing that they're doing creatively that's helping them get through COVID and sort of stay creative and also calm you down.
Sure. I love that. Okay. Who wants to go first? Evelyn?
I'll start. So Kathleen, who is the teacher of the class that I'm a TA for, invited me to go kayaking. And I have never been kayaking. Like, I don't know a lot of Dominicans that do that. So I went kayaking with Kathleen, and I've only gone twice, both times with Kathleen, and I'm totally addicted right now. I'm like, I want to go kayaking every weekend. It's so calming, and I love the water. So it's really calming for me to just be on the water and breathing all that fresh air. It helps a lot.
Excellent.
Jennifer, you want to go next?
Sure. I would think one thing that I feel along the same lines, yet in nature, like I feel getting out in nature. I'm taking walks every day, and that
walks.
Yeah, just out in woods, finding different paths that I didn't know there existed before around where I live. And that has been really great, just with family and sometimes alone, but it's good both ways.
Excellent.
Diana?
What about you? Oh.
Well, I'm not sure I've found peace of mind quite yet. But I agree with everybody. I think nature and combining things that we cooking, making stuff more, slowing down kinds of things. And I think with regards to how that relates to fashion is that we should be thinking about how these things all connect the way we do them. If you're looking at food, you're being inspired by texture and color and things of that sort. If you're doing movement, how does that relate? So yeah, I that's a little lofty, I know, but it's true now. I really feel like I'm trying to connect all the parts of my life to be more holistic.
Thank you. Terri?
For me, it's really about breathing. You know what I mean? I'm usually going. I'm in the car. I've got, a fashion show. I've got a client. I've got, so at first it was a little frightening, honestly, because I'm like, oh my God, I don't have to go anywhere today. I don't have to, have that hectic schedule. And it was, a bit of anxiety. So I would just kind of just breathe, especially with just what's political and what's going on and just every day. So you've got COVID and you've got the politics of the craziness. It was really, I found, and I didn't stop work once COVID happens. In fact, I got busier and I was on the road every day, every other day, not as long or as often, but I found that very peaceful. I do like to drive, so my job is a good job for me. But and I would offer to go down the Cape. I would offer to pick up, and I would actually stop because I wasn't in traffic, and I would take pictures along the roadways if I saw something that, I had that freedom instead of I have to be at this appointment and then I have to be at another appointment and I have to be at another appointment. I tried to take in the beauty that was around me and really look as I was driving. I any clients that said they were, oh, I've gone to the Cape. I'm like, I'll pick up, I'll come down the Cape. Because it was such a peaceful ride. You had no traffic, you had nothing. Provincetown, I can't even tell you how many times I went to Provincetown because that would be my only thing during the day was that I would go to that one job to pick up from that one client. Everything would be left for me and that I could just sort of meander and peacefully go down and I had my little snacks in the car. I had my water. I had my coffee. So
many people find driving to be calming. Not me, but a lot of people do. Let's move on to Renee. Renee, what have you been doing?
Well, one of the things I was trying to pick up was projects that I hadn't had a chance to do.
Oh, yeah.
I have a ton of. So crocheting. I picked up crocheting again, which I learned as a young child from my grandmother. And, my kids were home and I taught them how to crochet, my son and my daughter. And so we sat there and crocheted and I
That's generational wisdom that you're sharing. Yes.
The moment I taught you guys how to crochet during COVID.
That's
and I
awesome.
completed an Afghan, which was a big accomplishment. So now it's my COVID blanket is laying on my bed.
And last but not least, Jaye.
Well, I'm a little bit like Diana because I don't know if I found my peace zone yet, but I will say that for years, I have been wanting to add an online element to Boston Fashion Week. And I mean, it took this crisis to get there, unfortunately, but I've actually really enjoyed, even though it's had its stressful moments, learning the tech, like diving in and figuring stuff out. And this whole week has been a big experiment because I wasn't, fluent in everything that I needed to do, to make this happen. But I think, but the piece I found in there was working with people because everybody had support and inspiration. And I mean, just these calls have been amazing, to get that across. So,
and they're getting better and better every day.
I'm proud to say yes. Not as nervous as when I started, but it's an important thing to recognize. So, okay. So the importance of bringing students into professional settings is kind of our next area. This summer, we brought together members of the industry, faculty, students, on a series of calls that we scheduled, because when we offered this opportunity and said we were going to focus on students, we didn't want to just throw it to the students and like say, go ahead, figure it out. We wanted them to have access to industry people, both for inspiration, for tips, for tricks, all these kinds of things. Like 7 Pair Studios did this. They've done some of our videos in the past. They did this whole blog post that they shared with our students that said, this is what you should think about when you're storytelling and video and all that kind of stuff. So that's just like one example of dozens of people who came on these calls to help all these young people. So Terri, you've been doing it for a lot of years.
Yes.
And you just did it again this year. In the midst of all this, you managed to help pull together with Bob Packard and a whole team of people, this photo shoot, the graduate shoot, and it just happens to feature 3 MassArt students, which is pretty amazing. But tell us a little bit about why it's important to do that, both for the students and for the professionals.
I found that was my biggest challenge when I was a student going into the professional world, how to navigate that, how to network, how to, stand out in a crowd full of others. And so I think it's really important. I want the students to feel that they can always reach out to me to help them be the bridge. And I found that so many more people want to do that too. They want to help out. They want to, guide them because they remember what it was like when they were graduating and trying to figure out, what am I doing? How am I doing it? And, I always get a lot of inspiration. I see something completely different than what we see on the runways. And you really delve into that creative mind that they have. I also want to make sure that they understand they have to put their best foot forward. And whether it's they walk into a meeting and if they are a clothing designer, that they are wearing an item of theirs, because inevitably that's the first question, no matter whether you're in fashion or you're a human resource person, you're going to say, oh, you're a clothing designer. Are you wearing something that you've made? I always find that even, something, whether it's the top or the skirt or the jacket, is really helpful. And that really sparks a conversation. As a stylist, I'm 5'1", I'm a little round. And so when I was going and networking, I couldn't wear a lot of the latest, greatest, fashionable things, the Hervé Leger bandage dresses, I would have looked like a little sausage casing. So I had to find my own sense of style. So that when I was networking at a party, at an event, and somebody said, what do you do? And I said, I'm a stylist. I had to, whether it was the shoe I chose or the jewelry that I chose or putting pins all over a jacket. Of course, today I'm quite boring, aren't I? But just something that would stand out, that people would look at me and say, oh, okay, yeah, that is what you do. Yeah, I can see you're a stylist. So it wasn't necessarily that I had to wear the Hervé Leger dresses. It was that I had to put out my perspective of fashion, and that it's important for the students to do that too, to show their perspective and how it's bigger than just, the garment that you wear, that you are a whole person, a whole entity, and that it sparks the conversation, it starts the conversation, and you're able to, meet that person who connects you with another person who connects you. And that's really important. And honestly, being nice, just being a really, authentic, but being nice, not,
Right.
Snarky or catty, or because, people walk away with the impression of who you are. And, I hope I've had a reputation as being an honest, authentic, nice person that, I've hopefully that's what I've tried to move forward.
And I think, I think students also, before they go out into the industry, it's not necessarily that they are not nice. I think they have to be exposed to experiences that are nice. Like I encourage you all, if you haven't seen it already, we did a call called the Graduate Shoot, and it was on day one, so you can see it right or after this if you want to, with those 3 MassArt students and the team that was behind it. And that was one of the beautiful things, is like they were all exposed to an incredible group of people who were all incredibly nice and incredibly talented. But then they in turn responded. I mean, they were,
Yes.
everyone talked about how lovely they were to work with, and then also about the back and forth with the creativity. Because
Yes.
again, when you, I always tell my students, don't be precious about your work. Let other people interpret it and see what, you know, you don't have to like it, but you can go back and forth. And the collaboration that went on, I wasn't able to be in the shoot, but after I heard all these conversations, I was so proud to have been even a tiny little bit part of making it happen, because that's what this week is supposed to be about. So
can I just add one more thing? When you see the movies and everything about fashion, there's always the diva and the attitude and all of that. And that's not really completely what it's like. Yes, you run into one or two, but you know, I don't want that to be the impression that the students see, that you have to be a diva, you have to be, you know, in order to move forward, whether you're male or female.
Right.
But that, you know, niceness really goes a long, long way.
Excellent. That's very true.
Can I jump in for 1 second and just say, the group of seniors that we had, I can't even tell you how nice they were to each other, how supportive they were. I mean, there was just so much wonderful energy around them as a group. And that really just stood out as just amazing. And it was, you know, before COVID, during COVID, they were just an amazing group of students that really supported one another, which it was great to see.
Yeah.
I think that what we're seeing, though, too, out of what's going on in the world today is a human growth and a focus on better aspects of humanity, and it's helping everybody and everything to grow. And I think that, you know, being nice, being polite, all of that. I don't think there's divas so much anymore. That's a thing of the past. And
it's out of style.
And people help each other and help lift each other up. It's, you know, it's frowned upon, really, to
I know the media focuses on so much negativity, and even the movies about fashion and all that. But I think the reality of it is that, that, like you say, you know, we have communities, you know, and we come together and we support each other. You know, there's obviously always a negative story here and there, but overall, I mean, I've been doing this for ages, and for the most part, it keeps me coming back, right? So, you know, it can't be quite as bad as people think it is, because, again,
but that's also a testament to who you are, Jaye.
Thank you. That's very nice of you.
You know, because you're a nice guy.
So now I'm going to and move on to another subject, because I'm going to turn red. Jen and Renee, can you tell us a little bit about, you know, we had these calls and everything, but can you tell us from your perspective as their teachers and their advisors, how did the students respond to this opportunity? Because I'm sure initially they were disappointed that, you know, there wasn't graduation or school show. So I'm just curious how, what you saw happen once they had that opportunity offered.
Yeah, I think that it was really interesting because, when they first found, I mean, we were away on spring break when they were told that they couldn't come back, and we were just supposed to come back to do our first photo shoots. So we hadn't even done any of that collectively as a school at that point. So they were pretty obviously devastated, but I have to say, like what Renee said, this group, they're so supportive of each other, this particular class, and they have the most perseverance that I've seen. I mean, like just an incredible amount of like, go ahead, we can do something, you know? So they kept, you know, I think Renee and I probably became their cheerleaders, their support, you know, like kind of like just, hey, you can do this, you can still get this through, even though you're not having a show, it doesn't matter, you know, like that's not the end all be all. And then when you came in and said that, you know, you were going to dedicate Boston Fashion Week in this virtual setting to the graduates, it was sort of like a light bulb turned on for everyone, and kind of thought, you know, of course it's a little daunting as you're getting, because it happened over the summer and they had to take that initiative on themselves.
Right.
But which was a big thing. But I think they're a particular class that really had that momentum in them.
That's awesome to hear.
Yeah,
I'm
and I
sure
really think they did some amazing things. I mean, you know, the way they finished the semester, they were still kind of stunned with, oh, I don't have this, I don't have that. And so then this came along, and you know what they came out with in this video is a good thing. It was like, yes, they need to do more of this, you know. So it was an amazing outcome that, yes, we need to, you know, do more of this, and it was motivated them to keep going with their collections.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm hoping, you know, and I think a lot of people are realizing that these are viable alternatives, you know, because when we're able to come together again, of course, there'll be live shows again and things like that. But I think knowing that you have choices and that you could maybe even have, especially when you don't have a lot of resources, almost forces you to be more creative, you know, and you come up with a new way of looking at things. So that's what I'm hoping, again, comes out of the week, but also just out of this whole situation where people are embracing that a little bit more. So that's pretty awesome. So it's a pretty big, it's a pretty big class, and they have all sorts of, I took a little sneak peek, and they have all sorts of different styles. So can you give us kind of a little hint as to what kind of things we'll be seeing? Like what kind of style or kind of garments, you know, because I saw a real range, it seemed.
You're going to see everything. You're going to see everything from just, you know, menswear to clothes that make you smile to things that you'll want to get and wear. They're as unique as each student. And that's the amazing part of seeing these students, is that they just have their own expressions and their own unique strengths. And you'll see it all. You'll see a range. It's amazing.
Yeah. And if anyone wants to buy something, all their contact info is at the MassArt website. So when I'm part of the class of 2020, so we all had to switch to virtual in the middle of the semester. And as I call it a gift, the school made a website for all the graduates. So all the morning students that are all together, and then all the certificate students are all together. And we each have a little portfolio of our work that's living on the MassArt site.
It's actually the link to it you can get right after the videos. We have that included as well.
Yeah.
And Jen, you were going to say?
Oh, I was just going to say, in addition to what Renee said, the diversity of the garments themselves, but this opportunity with the videos was like eye-opening, because it was the first, they each took this presentation and approached it differently in a way that opened up a new doorway into who they are as artists and designers, which you wouldn't get off the runway, and really interesting to see how they approached it differently. So I think in that way you get sort of a real richness and variety as well.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good point, because it makes you kind of grow, and you have to use other skills and look at things from a different perspective. So before we get to that content, I just wanted to ask our three industry professionals to kind of share any words of wisdom that you want to share with our graduates, you know, as if they kind of at graduation or at the show saw you in the audience and came up and asked, what should I do next? Any advice you would give? Diana?
Yeah, this is not the end of your education. This is just the beginning. So keep on learning, keep on researching, stay flexible, as I mentioned before, and keep finding the people that to connect with and be inclusive and enjoy. So, but keep on learning. I'm still learning. I'm blown away at the things I still need to learn. So that's what's exciting about being a student of life. So yeah.
And Gina?
Good luck. And I also did want to mention, I had the pleasure of having one of the seniors with me last semester. I don't know if I should say who she is until later on, but
you can.
Say it.
Yeah, Leah Cretella.
Okay.
Yeah, and so I was just so impressed with her work and the quality of design and sensitivity to color and everything. So I'm very excited to see her and the rest of the students.
And this is what I'm talking about. Again, an industry professional getting excited, you know, about that interaction with someone who's new to the industry. So excellent. So Gina?
Well, I would touch upon, you know, being professional, being fluid, being able to go with the flow, because you can have a plan and all of a sudden things go left. So you have to be able to turn left. You have to keep a sense of humor, and be tenacious.
I love
That
it.
is true.
And Terri?
Gina took my thunder. My motto is always have a plan B. Always, because you can have laid everything out and written it all down and everyone is there and something inevitably goes wrong. I guess it's a stylist motto because Gina
that's
said
true.
the same, that we
Back
have
up.
to back up, just and
Be
just
ready for anything.
be calm. You know what I mean? Because I'm sure, Jay, throughout the years, you've seen all sorts of things come from me. But when I'm, for the most part, backstage, especially in fashion shows, it's the one place I am relatively calm. Rehearsals, I have colorful language, shall we say, during rehearsals. I'm very colorful.
I'm going to co-sign you on that, Terri. I'm very colorful as well.
I'm surprised there's not a video of me in one of my colorfulness, shall we say. But for the most part, I try to be calm backstage because the designer is, nervous. The dressers are nervous. Everyone's nervous. And even on photo shoots, I try to be always the calm one because, how you set forward, it kind of bleeds into everybody else's behavior. And eventually, even the craziest of designers, and Jay, you know who I mean, do calm down when you're calm.
What's the T? Who?
Well,
And
go ahead, Gina.
I was going to say another thing is, I'm not so much on the fashion set anymore. Now I'm on the photography set, and you have clients asking for crazy things. Always say yes. Can you do that? Just tell them.
Sure.
Absolutely. And then you figure it out afterwards. But if you say, well, I'm not sure I can do that, I can't, they'll move on. So always say yes and then figure it out afterwards.
That's awesome advice. And I just want to say, all of those things you mentioned make people want to have you around because all of you have those qualities. And I keep coming back and asking you together to do things. I think that's one of the things people dread the most. It's like, oh, Jay's got an idea. He's falling.
And Jay,
but it's because of that very thing. All of you embody those things. So
I wore sequins for you tonight.
I know. I like your top.
I said, I'm coming. I'm going to bring it. And what sticks in my mind is years ago, I was modeling. I was in New York. It was Fashion Week. And I went to go to a club and I was with some friends. And some of them were a little too butch for the queen at the door. And he turned to them and he turned to us and he said, it's Fashion Week, darling. You have to mean it. You have to bring it. So,
yes.
But I was like, hey, butch lives matter.
That's a great note to finish on. Well, all I have left to do is, again, thank you all for being here. Now everyone's going to get to see some great fashion content. Now, if you're not already watching this live feed on the Boston Fashion Week website, go to the Boston Fashion Week website, bostonfashionweek.com, look for day 6 today, right at the top of the page, and click, and you'll be able to watch all of the MassArt fashion content, including a link to the website that Evelyn mentioned earlier. So thanks again, everybody, for being a part of this, for taking the time, and for helping everyone in the community be able to create and present their work. It is everything. It was really the goal, and this week just keeps getting better. We just see more and more great talent, energies building. It's almost as good as being with you guys in the same room. So thank you so much.
Thanks for including us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having.
You guys have a good night. Thank you.